everyone. We are delighted to start a series on the developmental milestones in which we'll be covering across the segments and across the age groups. So as I have mentioned in our introductory video, we will be taking a specific age and then we will finish the milestones across the segments. We'll be starting with the developmental milestones for children between 6 to 12 months of age, and today we will cover up the language milestones which a children has to achieve. This is Dr. Jyotsna Tanigundala from Daffodils Child Development Center, Hyderabad. The moment we say to track milestones, especially the language milestones for children between 6 to 12 months of age, many of the parents get so confused, like what can we expect from a child in terms of language when they are so young and when they are in the infancy stage of 6 to 12 months. So let's dwell more in details of what language milestones we can expect. And whenever we talk about the language, we mean to talk in terms of both the understanding ability of the child, that means the language comprehension, and the expressive ability of the child, that means the language expression. So to start with, the first milestone in terms of language, what you can check in children is whether the baby is attending to the sounds or to your voices. Wherein we mean to say that the moment you say, "Hi baby, how are you?" are they able to just react in some way that I know this particular voice or I know this particular sound. Or in terms of hearing also, if you make any noise or if you make any just a quick sound, we expect the baby to give a startled response if it's a loud sound. If it's a soft sound, we expect the baby to give a smile response. So this becomes your 1 and 2 milestones. So the third milestone would be you need to gaze in the child, or you need to observe in the child whether the child is able to recognize the facial expressions. For example, if you keep a smiley face, the child will be able to at least try to make out that you are happy. And if you just stretch your tongue out, the child should try to imitate you back. If you do a puff cheek, the child will start laughing at you or the smiling at you. So babies between 6 to 12 months of age also have a capacity to look at your face and try to read your facial expressions. And then we have an important milestone called whether the baby is able to recognize tones of the voice. Here, we are not checking their auditory capacity, but what we mean is whether the baby is able to identify that it's my mom's voice or a voice which I am very familiar with. Like they'll make different facial expressions when they hear sound from a mom or a caretaker when compared to the sound of a stranger whom they have not come across. Babies also should be able to recognize and start understanding their own names. Whatever it could be, it need not be only the real name as Advait, but they will start responding even to the pet names like Chinny or Chintu or whatever the pet name you keep calling on. So by 8 to 9 months of age, they'll get this capacity. Whenever they hear the name of Advait or Advi, they'll start, responding just by looking at you or just by changing their body posture. They'll start understanding and recognizing that it's my own name. And then comes whether the child is responding to the familiar requests. At this age, familiar requests would be very short and very crisp. Like, "Come here, let's go." Or if they stretch their hands and say, "Come here," baby should start crawling and coming near you. When the baby starts learning this milestone or exhibiting this milestone, we might need to substitute our verbal command of "come here" with a gesture of "come here." But later on, over a period of time, for example, by the time child comes to 9 months to 10 months, children will be able to respond to just the verbal command of "come here." So the next milestone would be imitation. So when we talk about imitation, it could be in 2 ways. One is the gestural imitation and then the vocal imitation or the verbal imitation. So what do we mean by gestural imitation is if you do bye-bye or if you say "come here," the children should start looking at you and imitate in some manner which is relevant to your gesture. That's called non-verbal imitation. And second part of imitation, the verbal imitation, means if you say some sound like ta, or if you see a word of ta, children should start imitating your vocal sounds. That's called the verbal imitation. And this imitation also is a part of expression. And also the verbal and the next milestone, the important milestone for children between 6 to 12 months is babbling. So in the babbling, the children starts repeating consonant sounds more. So babbling also has different types. Predominantly, you will start noticing babbling from 8 months of age, and it goes to its peak by 10 to 11 months of age. So they start using lot of consonant sounds, wherein they might say ta 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 or atta. It sounds even like tata for you. They'll keep repeating the same consonant, ba 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 ba, ma 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 ma. It is something like a vocal play to the child. So when you have to observe that the child is babbling, if you repeat back the same babble to them, they will feel very happy because they are getting a good feedback from the parent, and they try to repeat it again and again. That's how the verbal expression of the child develops, and then slowly it starts moving from babbling to the simple sounds or the word approximation, to the simple words or the word approximations. So these are the major language milestones which you need to look or observe in the children who are between 6 to 12 months of age. In our next video, we will try to tell you on what you can do at home. That means the home remedies that we can do in order to improve or facilitate these milestones in case if our child is not reaching it at the appropriate time period. If you have any doubts, please do post in our comment box. Thank you so much.